everyone, RogueGold here, and today I wanted to sit down and have a chat about some of the wider Ubisoft news that has been swirling around this last, 24 hours, and talk about how that relates to The Division. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, I'll get into it and kind of explain what's been going on, but it's, just to say it's not good news. And so I've been getting a lot of questions about, does this mean anything bad for The Division? In particular, I've seen a lot of people raise concern with The Division Heartland and the status of that game. Does these greater things that Ubisoft is announcing, does it impact that? And so I wanted to make this video and kind of give my perspective on the whole matter. If you haven't seen before, I do, make occasional videos on these kind of investors calls and greater news with the publisher that we get for The Division and just general stuff like that. So I feel like I have some, degree of insight to be able to contribute to this conversation. And so that's what I want to do here, is give my perspective and just let you know what's going on. So you might have seen, a million different articles from all these different places talking about what Ubisoft announced yesterday with their investors meeting that they had. I'm sure each of these articles give their own spin on things, and that's great. I will leave a link to the original source in the description down below, and that is the official investors, readout that was published by Ubisoft after their meeting that they had. So if you want to read through it and see what was actually said by Ubisoft themselves, you can do that down in the description below, and that is kind of what I will be referencing and talking about in this video. So like I said, they had this investors meeting, which was not one of their, typical like Q1, Q3 halfway year mark or whatever. It was just a meeting that they had at the beginning of January. And the big bombshell pieces of information that came out of there were, for one, that Skull and Bones has been delayed again, which I believe from reading what people have said is like the 6th total delay the game has received since it was first announced, and obviously it just got delayed from November to March, and now it's being delayed from March to, they say, early 2023 to 24. Now I saw some confusion there. That means early fiscal 2023 to 24. So I bet in the first, few summer months there, May, June, somewhere around there, we will probably get that, assuming it doesn't get delayed again. That's what they're currently referencing for it right now. And I put out a joke tweet saying that, well, Heartland, now your March window is open now that Skull and Bones is out of there, but we'll get to that. They also announced then that 3 unannounced titles were completely canceled. So 3 games that they have not talked about, not publicated online, and they were 3 games that we probably will never know what they are now no longer going to be developed or released ever. And they specified that this is on top of the 4 that were canceled last year during, I don't know when it was last year, but they announced that 4 games that had not been announced were also canceled. So that makes, in the past, year and a half now, probably just a year total, 7 games that were not announced have been completely canceled. They're no longer moving forward on them. So obviously things are not going too great over at Ubisoft's house. And so they cite in this report, and everybody that's reported on it has said that Ubisoft has said it's because of tough economic conditions, right? They released recently Just Dance 2023 and Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and they said that both of those underperformed, didn't do quite as well as they were hoping that they would, and so they're now going to take this time, especially in the time in between now and when Skull and Bones is released, to shift their focus as much as they can towards major brands. They cite the likes of Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, The Division. They say that putting the emphasis on those brands is their new strategy moving forward, since they've seen this decline in sales, in revenue, and all of that, in success in these last few years. And that lines up exactly with what they said in the last investors call that I did a video on a few months back. I'll link that in the top if you want to check it out. But they said in there that they want, especially with Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and The Division, they want to create a strategy where those brands are putting out media across all different types of mediums, pertaining to all different types of audiences. And that's really what they want to focus on for the company moving forward. And that's what we're seeing here. If I had to guess, I would say that these unannounced games that got canceled were not part of these major brands. I would say that they're probably just new ideas that they were trying out that probably just aren't worth the resources at this point in time. But the underlying point here, and what's important for a lot of Division fans, is that from everything that they say in this article, I don't know what other people have been saying around, Division is not what is on the chopping block here, right? And I totally feel for any developer, fan, etc., who gets their work canceled. Obviously, these unannounced games didn't have a fan base yet because nobody knew what they were, but I can totally sympathize with that frustration and that sadness of that hard work getting canceled. I do. But fortunately for us in the Division community, from everything they're saying here, that is not us. That is not where the Division is at. And ironically, we've been saying for years that Ubisoft would benefit immensely by going all in on the Division and just doubling, tripling down on the amount of support that they give this IP, and that seems like they're finally kind of heading in that direction. Obviously, they're still going to support their other franchises franchises and brands too, but all of their wording says that they're heading in that direction of putting more support and more trust behind their major IPs, The Division included. I want to read this one quote quickly from that report article that they published, and it's near the bottom. You can go in and find it if you want to see it for yourself. But they say that leveraging the biggest pipeline of games in Ubisoft's history, 2023 to 24 will see the releases of Assassin's Creed Mirage, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Skull and Bones, and other yet-to-be-announced premium games, including a large one, as well as some promising free-to-play titles for some of our biggest brands. So especially that bit at the end there, that fits the bill for The Division Heartland, right? I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they're worried for The Division Heartland. They don't think it's ever going to come out. It's announced, right? So it's not one of those games that got canceled. And B, they're saying this entire time that they're doubling down on their bigger brands more and more. That's what they think is going to lead them to financial success. So I really see no logical pathway to get to the conclusion that The Division Heartland is in danger. And I'm telling you guys, the game is going to come out. All right, it is. Now, this does bring up an interesting point for its potential release window. We've all been saying that it would kind of make sense for the game to come out sometime between now and March, as it's gotten its official ESRB rating. It seems like it's pretty close to being done and ready for release. But that quote does talk about their 2023 to 24 lineup, which, if you don't know, is referring to their fiscal year, which would be from April of 2023 to March of 2024. So perhaps this indicates that Heartland wouldn't come out until April or later, but they could not be referencing it. It's really hard to tell without official information, but either way, it's still on track and it's still going to release. So if you're a Division fan, if you're going to take anything away from this video, just know that at this point in time and with the information that has just been released by Ubisoft, The Division is fortunately not in danger, and nothing here to me points to the idea that The Division is in the crosshairs of any of these disruptions or cancellations. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts on this recent Ubisoft news, everybody. Obviously, it's pretty crazy, and like I said earlier, it's not fun for the people who are affected by some of these, cancellations and all of that. I totally feel for people in that position. But like I said, at this point in time, The Division is just not at that point on the totem pole where it's, in danger of any sort of cancellations or anything like that. Obviously, things could change over time. Hopefully, the Ubisoft situation doesn't worsen and that the company gets into further and further trouble. I think that could, at that point, maybe become troublesome for The Division. But I think the greater they shift their focus towards these major brands, they're going to continue to realize just how valuable The Division is and how dedicated the fan base is. And especially once the likes of Heartland and Resurgence release, I think we're just going to see the franchise continue to pick up more steam. So let me know your thoughts. As always, I will love to hear them, and that is going to do it for me today, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.